Hello, this is Insane Monster, and this is the third video of today in the in my reaction to the pending tropical storm heading towards me. Now, basically, this what if is going to be a what if on what if Deku has Kaido's power, and it will not be the double fruit. It will actually be a quirk. And as for why I'm doing this what if that isn't a part of the main lineup, it's actually pretty simple. It's going to be a what if that will only have a single part to it for now. Whenever one of the Deku what ifs in the main lineup of what ifs that we have set up right now is caught up to the anime, to where I can't make any more parts since there's not an anime to base it off from at the moment, I will pick one of these Deku what ifs that will only have a single part to them, and it will be the one with the most likes. The Deku what if with the most like that isn't a part of the main what if lineup that only has the beginning part will be chosen to fill in the slot. So basically, there's going to be multiple other what ifs that will happen every now and then. It could either be every Saturday, or we can make it to where one comes out on Monday and one comes out on Friday. If that sounds okay, leave a comment below. So, if a Deku What If catches up to the anime, if this Deku What If that only will have a beginning part for now has the most likes, or if another Deku What If that only has a beginning part has the most likes, then the one with the most likes will take the spot of the completed for now What If. If that's all understood, hope you enjoy this what if, because I am sure going to. Now then, for Deku's quirk, he won't look like Kaido. If you see behind Deku with the white fur with the green mane and such, that is what Deku's dragon form is going to look like. Now we get to the My Hero world where Deku was born. His mom and dad are there holding him, enjoying him, and his dad's sister actually comes in, who is in this universe the dragon hero Ryoku. Or, sorry, a little something, but she congratulates them and remarks that she's curious about what kind of quirk that little Izuku is going to get. We go a little bit into the future where they're about 4. Bakugo is just doing his own thing in another park while his aunt actually brought him over near her, near the park where she lives, for a visit. While they're there, Deku sees a girl being bullied, and he goes over to defend her. His aunt Ryuku, or sorry, it's hard to remember all of the names, hero names and such, but we'll just call her Ryu for short. So yeah, when he gets in between the girl and the bullies start powering up their quirks. Deku is a little hesitant, but grips his fist, saying that he isn't going to back down. When he stands his ground, he begins to change and turns into a eastern dragon form. It surprises the kids, and when they go to rush him, he begins to breathe fire, which ends up scaring the bullies off. Deku's clothes were torn apart when he saw them and thought, man, I can't turn back like this. So he went over to the girl, flying or floating, whichever one you want to refer it to as, since these types of dragons don't have wings, but still are able to fly. He goes over and asks if the girl's okay. She said yes. When he looks at her, she sees she has some green hair, green eyes, with a hard to read face, but it is dripping tears and such from the bullies messing with her. He asks if she's okay, and she replies with yes, thank you for saving me. Deku introduced himself as Izuku Midoriya, and the girl introduced herself as Asui Suyu, and to just call her Sue. Ryu came over asking Izuku what happened, which is where she noticed that she sees his clothes ripped on the ground and a dragon, the tiny dragon there, which she gets excited, seeing that her nephew got a similar quirk to hers, saying that, "Oh, little Izuku, you got your quirk." Izuku said, "Yeah, and watch this." He breathes fire, saying, "Looks like it merged with Dad's quirk too." Sue asks, "Is that your mom, Izuku?" But Deku said, "No, that's my aunt." She introduced herself as the dragon hero, and which brightens Sue's eyes that she gets to meet a hero. And they hang out that day. As they wave goodbye, they said that they should meet again. As the years pass, Deku's quirk is marked as dragon, and he goes over and visits Sue every now and then as they grow up. Over time, they get pretty close. And I've actually started dating. Bakugo mess with him sometimes because he knows he has a girlfriend, but Deku just honestly doesn't care about what he says at this point, so he just brushes him off. And Sue and Deku go on dates every now and then, which is where we are at the beginning of the anime. Same thing happens as always with the teacher saying that they all want to go to UA and everything, stating that both Bakugo and Deku and Midoriya end up with applying to UA, which they're not really that surprised about. Deku, currently in his dragon form, is about the size of a minivan, so not at Kaido's size. We and over the years, since there has been some trouble getting his clothes torn apart, uh, his aunt Ryu decided to call a support company to ask about his particular transformation, since it was pretty long and large. Her power was able to have her clothes stretch over her transformation pretty well, but the Deku's body was a lot longer than hers in comparison with the clothes, and felt a little uncomfortable for him. So a special suit was made that whenever he transformed would form rings kind of like around where his waist would be, his forearms, shins, and even a collar thing around his neck. When he turned back, it would be a suit that would collapse and fold together to be a single suit and then go to the collar and the band things. Though it did help a lot. Izuku right now can only be either in his dragon form or his human form, but he can still use his powerful fire breath in both. Uh, and he still takes hero notes, which Bakugo still kind of messes with him about it. But on his way home, he took a different route. Obviously, this is where the sludge villain attacks. When that happens, Deku instantly backs up and using his fire breath to gain a little bit more distance while also attacking the villain. Using his fire breath to keep the villain at bay and enough long enough for All Might to appear, which he yells, "I am here," knocking out the villain, scooping him up with Deku fanboying out and asking for an autograph, which he does do like normal as he jumped off. Though Deku said, "Oh, wait, I gotta ask him something." And he soars off and saying, catching up to All Might, surprising him and asking, "I have something to ask you." Was he said, "Kid, is that you?" He just said, "Yeah, basically. I have a transformation quirk." They land on the rooftop where Deku asks him, how can I become a hero like you? Which, right after he asks that, All Might deflates into the Small Might. Deku's like, you're not All Might? Which he then explains his injury and the fact that he really looks like that and that he can only do hero work for 3 hours a day. Which he's impressed that he's able to go that far. All Might continues speaking, saying, "As for your question, to be a hero takes a lot of hard work and dedication. It also means doing what's right, even if you're afraid, along with some other attributes. But for now, I think it's best if you learn those for yourself. If you want to be a hero, some things you have to learn on your own." Deku understood that and thanked him. They went their separate ways when they heard an explosion. Apparently, when All Might was startled, his leg jolted and the bottle that the villain was in dropped out of his pocket. Deku rushed over and is wearing his suit that over the time he's somewhat had it modified to have some extensions on it for when he ends up having to transform back so he doesn't look like he's in a weird suit. So it's more or less baggy clothes. Comfortable baggy clothes, but baggy clothes nonetheless. And he goes over and sees what's going on, that the sludge villain got away. He thinks that it running through his mind, thinking that this was his fault. It was all his fault. He clenches his fist, thinking, I have to do something. But right when he looked over after hearing that the villain took a hostage, seeing Bakugo, he just rushed into action, turning into his dragon form, flying towards the villain. The villain went to strike at him, but he was able to fly and maneuver around his attacks. Using his claws, he plunged into the sludge and ripped Bakugo out, flying up to the sky and dropping him Bakugo right to Death Arms, who caught him. He then fired up his fire breath and hit the villain dead on, charring him up a little bit. The villain then began to take everything he could and fling it at Deku. There was a couple of close calls, and he did get scraped somewhat, which is when All Might rushed in, saying, "Enough! Detroit Smash!" Slamming the villain, doing the same thing as Cannon. Deku and Bakugo were congratulated on their quirks, but Deku was also berated for doing something so reckless and apologized. On his way home, Bakugo stopped by saying I didn't need your help, but yeah, and storms off. With Deku thinking just can't bring himself to say thank you, can he? Whatever. As he scratches his head, then All Might appeared right in front of him, saying, "I am here," spitting up more blood after deflating. Deku saying, "All Might, you gotta stop that. You're gonna hurt yourself." All Might just said, "It's fine." Then he explained that he saw great potential in him, explaining that the greatest heroes all have one thing in common, that their bodies reacted before they even had a second, before they even thought about it, flinging themselves into danger to save another, offering him his quirk one for all, which he got confused and said, "Wait, what? What do you mean?" And as for that, he explained the power of one for all, saying that he can pass it down. Deku was so excited. So he agreed, and All Might told him to meet him at Dagobah Beach. Once he got there, he was surprised about the amount of trash that was there. All Might stepped in, explaining that this was going to be their training ground, that he'll clean the entire beach. Which Deku's like, "Oh, man." So, over the months of training, cleaning the beach in both his human and dragon form, as well as exercises outside of it, and studying for it on his free time, he did hang out with Sue, and he even helped to take care of Sue's little brother and sister if their parents were gone. Though Sue's dad gave him a look when that happened, saying, "Don't you dare do anything. You understand what I mean?" Deku just kind of nervously smirked, saying, well, "We'll take care of them, no problem." And it went on like that for 8 months until the beach was clean. Once it was, All Might plucked one of his hairs and told him to eat this. Which Deku was like, gross. He eats it, and after letting it digest a bit, since he has a transformation quirk, he's used to flowing some kind of power across his entire body. So in his human form, he swings his fist to create a great force of wind pressure. All Might said, seems like in your human form, you can spread it out to about 50%. We should probably dial it back so that you can't do any serious harm when you're not meaning to. He agrees and tries that. When they went to try to use his dragon power, however, it was weird. He couldn't transform for some reason. When he did, he felt one for all surging through him, resisting the transformation. He asked what was going on. All Might explained that he doesn't know much about the past. He doesn't know much about all of the past users of One for All. It's possible that none of them had a transformation type quirk. So it is since One for All enhances a person's quirk once they receive it, that his body most likely is going through a metamorphosis with his quirk. So it might be a while until he's able to turn into his dragon form again. Which he's like, "Oh man, I'm so used to being in that form. It's gonna feel weird going for who knows how long without it." So they just continue practicing in his normal state, getting up to 10%, holding back with 50% on his normal human state, as which is where we get to the entrance exam of UA. He does the theory. He does the theory exam just fine, like in canon. He doesn't get berated by Ida in the lecture explaining the practical exam because he's too focused on thinking about what to do without his dragon transformation to rely on and just his fire breath, which is amped up pretty powerful, though his throat needs a little bit of getting used to, even though it has been getting better. Once they get to the test site, he then prepares, stretching and all that, getting ready with his the custom clothes that collapse into the bands, like I said before. So once Mike tells him to start, Izuku charges up, one for all, rushing at the robots, destroying them one after the other, some from kicks, some from punches, and others from his fire breath. They're impressed with his incredible power. He tallies up a good number of combat points, thinking that he should have enough to pass, but maybe I should get some more. As he goes off to go get more, the ground begins to rubble and people begin to run away. When he looks back, he sees the zero pointer. He thinks that, man, I don't have my dragon form right now. I can't do anything against that. But before he gets to run away, he hears a girl scream. He looks behind him, seeing a girl with brown hair trapped under some rubble. He rushes over, powering up, thinking, come on, come on. Then something happened. He began to grow bigger and bigger in his dragon form, to the same size as Kaido. His horns were even bigger, had some more extension to them. His his claws, his fangs, his horns were all bigger, including his entire dragon body. He rushed, flying straight towards the zero pointer, slamming his head into what would be the robot's body, causing it to go up in the air, forcing it to go higher and higher, pushing off, getting it into the air a bit more, so that he can swing his body around, smacking the zero pointer with his tail to give it some more distance away from him. Then, charging up his fire breath, with one for all coursing through his body, he shoots fire, not just normal fire, but fire with green electricity in it, blasting the zero pointer, causing it to full on explode. Deku begins to fly down a little exhausted, thinking, jeez, ah, that was something. He begins to fly down, landing, seeing how much larger his body is now in his dragon form. He tries to shrink down, though he found something new. He can stop at a halfway form. Though, yeah, the clothes did come out, though they were kind of tight on him now. His body was a lot larger. He had his tails, horns, and some claws, but had a humanoid form with him. Even checking his teeth to see if he still has his fangs, which he does, thinking, whoa, a halfway form. Is this an additional, is this what One for All did to my quirk? He found it amazing, but went over to the girl, getting the rubble off of her and carrying her away, shrinking down into his normal form. Once, which is where the exam ended. Recovery girl came over, asked Izuku to put her on the stretcher, where she healed her and had her taken away for further examination. As since the exams were done, Deku went home and waited until he got his letter at UA, where he found out that he got in, where All Might also stated that he was impressed with the power and the size of his dragon form had, and that it did show incredible promise. Though you can't turn into a giant dragon every time you fight a villain, so you'll have to learn how to work with your human state as well as that halfway form, which Deku is just thrilled. And this is where we'll be ending the What If for now. If you want this to be a Saturday only special, or perhaps a Monday/Friday special, then vote in the poll. Also, like I said, this will be the only part for now until one of the Deku What Ifs in the main lineup has caught up to the anime. And if this has the most likes out of the What If Dekus that uh, that only have the beginning part, then this one will be set up as the new part of the main lineup. But if it isn't, then whatever Deku, other What If Deku has the most likes will end up being the next to be in the main lineup when one of the other What If Dekus is completed. Hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the notification bells for future updates and uploads for What Ifs. And hope you enjoyed. See you later.